Put down the Pedialyte. Put down the bottle of Bayer aspirin. Yes, we know it's Saturday morning. We know you're nursing that hangover, and that's fine. We fully endorse a Friday night out on the town. But we also fully endorse you paying full attention to the weekend edition of Sports Frenzy 2.0.
Because we know what you need in your life.
Need some rock and roll. Need a good movie or two. Need a good streaming option to binge.
And you need to find out what the hell to stay away from.
He's a conquistador, Dave Height.
He's the maestro, Kevin Crane.
Taping here on November the 9th. This is hitting Saturday morning, November the 12th, 2022. And as always, we start off with rock and roll, and I have already been forewarned by the conquistador that we are going to have a contentious album review here right off the bat.
Yes.
Little bit surprising.
I told you I am not a big Bush fan.
Well, Dave, here's what you got to realize. There's good Bush and there's bad Bush.
I like good Bush.
We all revel in good Bush, but we tend to shy away from bad Bush.
That's right. There we go.
Yes, we are going to review the new album from Bush, The Art of Survival, after all the clunky pseudo-sexual puns there. Now, the reason why I'm a little shocked, I know Dave is not the biggest fan of Bush, the band, out there, but I thought you liked the first two singles enough where it wouldn't be a complete disaster to review the whole album.
I had hopes, but it solidified my dislike.
Okay. I'll be interested to go through. We won't belabor this whole thing. I will not drag you through the muck and the mud on this, so we won't do a track-by-track thing. But did you have any songs you liked outside? Now, you did like the first single more than Machine.
Yes, that's probably my favorite on there.
And the lead-off track, I thought you liked the second single, Heavy as the Ocean.
That was, I kind of enjoyed that one.
Where Gavin Rossdale makes up one of the coolest words ever, fuckery.
Yes. So those two, and then there was one other one that I enjoyed.
Only one?
That I really liked.
Okay, I want to hear this.
Creatures of the Fire.
Are you serious?
I kind of liked that one. That's probably your least favorite.
Bottom three, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I thought Slow Me was okay.
I thought that was one of the two worst.
Shark Bite was okay.
See, Shark Bite was pretty good.
Kiss Me, I'm Dead was okay. Gunfight was okay.
Gunfight! How did you not like Gunfight?
It was okay.
Oh my God, it's one of the top 4 songs on the album.
1,000 Years.
I like that.
Judas is a Riot.
That
Identity.
Oh my God.
It's the same.
Those are my favorite songs on the album.
This is the crap I hate. It all sounds the damn same. It's so monotone on the vocals. There's nothing to it. It's just.
Oh my God. How is it possible for you and I to be so different on an album?
You like that stuff? I don't.
Yeah, but I just told you I didn't like every song on the album, but you seem to like the ones I didn't like more.
It's amazing, isn't it? Probably because it's different than everything else. But
see, now I thought Identity was phenomenal. Who is the angel? Who is the whore? Oh my God, that was awesome.
Yeah, and there's no difference in the music or the vocals.
Oh, bullshit. That song is harder than almost anything else on the album. That's why I thought if I had picked one, I thought that would have been the one you'd have liked.
Like every other damn song they do.
Gunfight, come on.
It was okay.
Just because of the chorus, never bring a gun to a knife fight.
What? That does nothing for the rest of the song for me. There are a lot of them I like the chorus, but the rest of it is
Judas is a Riot?
Didn't like it.
Do the Kool-Aid twist and shout?
Nothing.
Oh my God. All right. Hey, Descent is good once in a while.
It is.
Human Sand you didn't like? I thought that was pretty good.
No, didn't care for it all that much.
Oh boy. Yeah, be prepared for this one, kids. Now it's, I guess, time for the
It's
final
just
ratings.
one of those eh.
Wow. Okay. And you're agreeing. Let me point this out first. Dave has already agreed next week. You want to talk about one where I'm expecting nothing.
But negativity out of me.
Next week's album review, I'll tell you right up front now, is going to be Bruce Springsteen's Only the Strong Survive, his cover album of 60s and 70s soul music.
Now remember, last week
You like Night Shift more than me.
Night Shift I liked more than you.
Yes.
So we'll see. I don't disdain all of Springsteen's music.
But you basically want Gavin Rosdale to get run over by a bus based on how you've reacted to this
don't
album.
Like his vocals. He
it's
does
fine.
nothing.
It's absolutely fine. I have had my problems with some of the stuff you have wanted me to listen to.
So there
I
you
get
go.
it. So I'm fine with it. I'm more shocked, based again on the fact that you were positive about the first two releases.
Yeah, and the
now
rest of the
everything
album
else
just kind of
you've thrown in the dumpster. Okay.
Because that's basically, for me, Bush. There's not a lot that I really like that they've done. There's one or two songs off of every album, and the rest I can flush down the crapper.
Okay. So obviously, yes, I am a little bit more of a Bush fan than you are.
But that's that era coming out.
That's true. You're not as big of a grunge guy as I am.
Grunge guy.
Yeah. You like Alice in Chains.
Yes.
But the rest of it you can probably
just
do without.
Yeah.
Yeah. See where I'm more into it. I still look at that era as the last great era of rock and roll.
For me, that was the beginning of the demise.
All right. Dare I ask for your review, your final frenzy review of The Art of Survival from Bush?
What I want to give it and what I will, I'll give it 2. Just for, I can
give it what you want to give it.
I'll give it a 1.5. That's how I feel about it.
That's fine.
I can appreciate what they were doing, but not for me.
All right, so 1.5 frenzies from Dave. I liked, out of 12 tracks, I liked 8 of them. I will listen to this album again. Amazing, just amazing that most of the ones Dave liked, though I didn't. But it's all good, man.
Yep.
Sometimes
so you will listen
happens.
to it over, and I won't listen to it again.
So I go 3. I go 3 frenzies.
There you go.
Yeah. Very cool. Sometimes this kind of...
This is what happens.
I like
this
is
why we
every
do it.
once in a while, we've got to go different ways. As Journey said, separate ways.
That's right.
We got 2 singles.
See, we are not lemmings following what we each recommend.
There you go. And that's what makes listening to each and every week unique, like a diamond, like a snowflake.
No. No. We are not fucking snowflakes on this show.
All right. 2 singles to review for you this week. First up, the second quote-unquote lost track that we're going to review. We've already listened to and enjoyed Carolina Shag from the just-released deluxe edition of Scarecrow, one of the greatest albums, in my opinion, ever put out there. John Cougar Mellencamp. Second unreleased track is Smart Guys. What did you think of Smart Guys?
This is 80s Mellencamp at its, I guess you could say, finest. It's got that, because it's the lost track, it could have been polished up a little bit more. It's got a solid base to have been a Mellencamp classic if he would have stuck with it and put the effort into it.
Yeah, I agree. It needs more polish. But again, Dave and I have talked about this. Right now, what we're getting is a lot of these type of songs from classic rock bands and rock performers, where they're giving us these expanded editions, live versions that we've never heard before. So we got to take what we can get.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of these B-sides or a lot of these studio outtakes are not completely polished, produced to the point where they would sound like the songs that we know and love. So I completely 100% agree with you. He needed somebody, to me, on this to help him restructure it just a little bit.
Yeah,
because he speeds through the lyrics a little too fast.
Yeah, he needed to slow the lyrics down.
Maybe give it a little more of an edge, a little more of a punch.
Yeah.
Because you can tell what he's going for with this. He's being sarcastic, being the kid from Indiana. He's basically, trying to ridicule pompous, arrogant, rich, smart people, smart guys.
Yeah.
Duh. But it doesn't quite come off as sharp as it normally would with him in this era.
Right.
With the right production, with more energy, more of an edge behind it. You don't quite get that stinging, biting Mellencamp sarcasm.
Right, like Authority.
There you go, Authority song. Perfect example. Yep. So, I guess I will give Smart Guys, I'll give it a strong 2 frenzies.
That's exactly where I'm at with it.
Yep. Again,
it's got the bones there.
Perfectly said. It's got exactly the core of a great song is there. It's just not fully formed. Kind of like what we said a couple weeks ago about Funky Feng Shui, which still drives me crazy.
That they did it 2 different ways,
and they still couldn't form it into a full great song. And it's there, it's there.
If they would put that little bit effort, Sammy and the boys could.
And that's a different animal altogether, because those are 2 fully produced versions of the song that they failed on. Whereas this, obviously, they said not good enough to make the cut for Scarecrow. But and I could see that, because Scarecrow, the songs on that are so phenomenal.
Yeah.
It would take a classic to fit into that album. But that being said,
this
still
had the bones to have possibly made the cut if they would have put a little bit more effort into it.
Yep. And then, of course, we have the remnants of Velvet Revolver.
Kings of Chaos.
With Matt Sorum, Duff McKagan slashes on Judgment Day. This is an interesting, wild trip of a song, and I'll tell you why.
This is a garage session, having fun.
And number one, I can't believe that's Matt Sorum singing on this song.
I know, right?
Guy who sat behind the drums for The Cult, for Velvet Revolver, for Guns N' Roses, and we never hear him sing.
And now, why was he hiding those vocals?
I mean, this song sounds like stick with me on this. At the beginning, it sounds a little bit like Steven Tyler. Then he settles in more like Alice Cooper. The whole tempo of the song actually reminded me a little bit of the Hives in the frenetic pacing.
Had that, yeah.
I mean, I'm hearing all these different influences with Matt Sorum's voice and the pacing, and Slash's wicked guitar work on this.
Yeah, you could. That's why I said this is a garage session song, because you could feel them trying to find their way through it, but you could tell they're having fun at the same time through the music and the vocals and the way everything's coming through.
Yeah, like you said, with the best guitar or garage rock songs, the guitar, the drums, everything are a little messy.
Yeah.
The best garage rock stuff sounds messy yet polished and focused at the same time. And that's what I got out of Judgment Day. Now, I don't want to make it sound like I'm going to overpraise the song, because in the end, it's not an all-time classic, but it's just a fun, rocking out little ditty.
Exactly. It's a rockin' little tune, a garage session bit. It's catchy. I give it 2.5.
I'll give it a strong 2.5. Yep, that's about where I am too. Yep, on the lower end of the recommend scale, but still, check this out,
It's
kids. Kings of
worthwhile.
Chaos.
This has some potential with this lineup for this album. It could be very interesting.
And of course, they said they're going to continue this into the future. Slash will not be a full-time member. Duff McKagan and Matt Sorum will be, and they'll be bringing in guest stars to do vocals or to do other things.
Yeah.
But Matt Sorum, I mean, just blew me away.
You never would have thought that he could carry it like that.
Yeah. Very solid voice. Very
Yes.
solid vocals.
Definitely a surprise. A pleasant surprise that's worth checking out.
Yep. Next week, we will, in addition to Bruce Springsteen, for our singles, we will review another John Cougar Mellencamp Scarecrow studio outtake, his cover of James Brown's Cold Sweat, Ugly Kid Joe's cover of Lola.
That's intriguing. I'm horrified and intrigued at the same time.
The third and final of the bonus tracks off of the deluxe expanded Mammoth WVH, a song called Goodbye. Unlike the first two, Talk and Walk, and what was the other one we just did? As Long as You're Not You, I'd heard before. But I don't know what to expect from Goodbye. Be very interested. This will be brand new for me. So I'm a little bit giddy about this. Although I still don't like the fact he put it on an expanded fucking edition.
These three songs should have been part of a second album.
Stop
money-grubbing little...
Stop trying to screw your fans.
You're not endearing us.
Even you could have put out an EP. Put out one more song. Put out a 4-song EP.
There you go.
To get us through until the second album.
But don't
even
do the
cover song.
Don't do the money grab to pay for your fiance's ring and upcoming wedding and honeymoon.
How about this? This is why I should be, along with you, running the music industry. 4-song EP. These 3 bonus tracks, right, that he's tacked onto the end of the original album, and a live version of Them Bones that we heard.
Boom! There you go.
4-song EP. Put it out there for $5-$6 on CD.
There you go.
Then you can pay for the damn ring.
And then...
Because I'm not paying for another version of the first album that I already own. I'm not.
Not gonna happen.
I will harp on this. I'm sorry. I'm obsessed with how bad of an early career misstep this is from Wolfie.
Yeah, this is something you do when you're 25 to 30 years into your career, when you have 7, 8, 9 albums under your belt. Then you do something going back and pulling outtakes or whatever.
Well, just like we're talking about earlier with John Mellencamp. He can go back and reissue Scarecrow and throw, there's the writer's demo, I believe, of Rumble Seat in there.
Yeah.
It's crap like that. But he sprinkles in 3 or 4 cover songs and B-sides that we haven't heard before. Like you said.
He has got the catalog to pull it off. Wolfie, you do not. You're still trying to establish yourself.
I will be bitter about this for a long time. Sorry, Wolfie. We do, before we wrap up our first segment of rock and roll, have to discuss. I will try to keep myself calm, keep myself even-tempered, because it involves the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But the induction ceremony was this past weekend in Los Angeles.
Why is it in Los Angeles if the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is in Cleveland?
Does anybody want to party in Cleveland?
Why would you want to go to Los Angeles?
I'd rather go to Los Angeles than Cleveland. Now, all that being said, they should do it somewhere like New Orleans, so a city that's more fun for everybody. Not so pretentious and not so boring.
Yeah, there you go. Why didn't you go to Memphis?
There you go. Memphis or Nashville would have been good. Yeah. I don't understand why they don't make it a concert. Like, put it in the middle of Jerry Jones Palace down there in Texas, AT&T Stadium.
Why not?
Sell tickets for it. No, it's only for the rock and roll Illuminati.
It's John Winter and his sycophants.
Yep. So, from what I could tell, very odd that it looks like the stars of the night were Dolly Parton and Rob Halford. And there's a great picture of those two singing together.
That doesn't surprise me. It doesn't.
Dolly Parton says she's going to follow through on this whole promise to do a rock album. She says she's already recruited Steve Perry to be on one of the songs, former Journey singer. Yep. I still think she is a masterful manipulator. I still think all of this, it's brilliant PR. She's like Sammy Hagar. She's very smart as a businesswoman.
Yep.
And PR, she knows
awesome
PR.
At self-promotion.
But I'm telling you, a lot of it's BS. A lot of it's bullshit.
We'll see.
Oh, I'm going to bow out of the fan voting because I'm not worthy. The humble brag. And what happens? Boom. She gets voted in.
You knew it was going to happen.
The one sad thing we got to take away from this, of course, Dave and I were very happy that a guilty pleasure band of ours from when we were younger got in, Duran Duran.
Yep.
They could not, unfortunately, put together a full reunion of the original core 5 members because Andy Taylor has stage 4 prostate cancer.
Ouch.
So thoughts and prayers go out to him and the entire Duran Duran family. All those guys, Simon Le Bon, Nick Rhodes. Again, Dave and I have talked about this in the past. Duran Duran was one of those bands when we were growing up, guys weren't supposed to like.
Nope. Couldn't like them.
But
their music was so damn catchy.
Yep.
They had the lyrics that you wanted
the
to
videos,
hear. The videos.
With the scantily clad
Come
women.
on. Girls on Film. Hungry Like the Wolf.
Glad to see them get in. I complain and I bitch and I piss and I moan, especially this rock and roll class for the Hall of Fame was pathetic.
Pathetic the way that.
And I'm not counting Judas Priest. Yeah, I'm not counting Judas Priest because they didn't get voted in by the fans or by their peers.
They had to get special recognition.
No, but the Eurythmics get voted in.
Bullshit.
Lionel Richie gets voted in. Carly Simon gets voted in.
I will take Lionel Richie in over Carly Simon.
I don't want either one of them in. You know me. I am very strict on this. It doesn't matter for sports Hall of Fames, music Hall of Fames, any Hall of Fames. Have some standards, high standards, not low standards. It's not everybody gets a participation trophy.
But that's Jan Wenner. No. Only for those
who kiss his ring.
Yeah.
Those who kiss Jan Wenner's ring get in. And when they end up putting in Rage Against the Machine, which they will.
I will.
Before Iron Maiden, before REO, before Styx.
Rage Against the Machine sucks. I will leave it at that.
And we'll leave you with that, kids, because that's the end of segment 1. Music is done for this week. Next up, movies.
We got a couple of them for you.
Yep, a little bit of movie news. I have an unofficial third review. I'll bounce this off of the Conquistador, see what he thinks, if I should give it a full-fledged review, but I do want to bring it up because it ties into some movie news that I have and wrestling.
Oh!
Yeah, you're not getting out that easy this week, kids. Wrestling news coming up in both the movies and the TV and streaming.
Are we
Dave-
going to talk about Logan and Ramon? Maybe.
You'll have to stay tuned to find out, kids.
There's the teaser.
Dave and I will be right back. She walked into my office just as I was reaching for the bottle in my bottom desk drawer. Legs till Tuesday, lips like pillows. I want to hire you, she said, to find Sports Frenzy 2.0. Doll, I said, that would be the easiest case ever. Sports Frenzy 2.0 is on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Apple, everywhere you listen to podcasts. She nodded to herself, sat down and smiled. I grabbed 2 glasses. Life was good. And so is Sports Frenzy 2.0.
All right, kids, segment 2 of the weekend edition here on Sports Frenzy 2.0, recording November 9th, dropping Saturday morning, November 12th, getting you ready for what to watch movie-wise in this segment on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Amazon, Audible, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, and Stitcher! All right, we got a couple of movie reviews for you this weekend, kids.
Couple of movies that were recently in theaters, which we like to do. We usually wait until they hit streaming for the most part.
Yep, sometimes we'll venture forth and drop the big bucks when it's warranted. These two, not necessarily warranted for the big screen, but
Shall we start with the mystery or the horror?
let's start with the horror. Let us begin with Barbarian.
Barbarian, of course, like I said, in theaters a few months back. Another one of these lower budget horror movies that ends up making a decent chunk of change, made over $40 million at the domestic box office. Just got on HBO Max. Now, I watched it before Dave, at least part of it. And I told him, I said, the cool thing about what I've watched to that point in Barbarian was that it starts out one way and it goes completely differently.
It runs off the rails like you wouldn't believe.
We can't spoil it for you. I don't want to do that.
No.
But
it
involves an Airbnb in Detroit, in a very bad part of Detroit.
Very bad.
And a young woman has a booking. She's got a job interview coming up, books the Airbnb in Detroit. She comes in at night, doesn't necessarily see
the surrounding area.
She pulls up to the Airbnb, checks, doesn't have the key.
The key isn't in the box where it's the way it's supposed to be.
But somebody is already in the house.
It got double booked through 2 different services.
Now, the guy who's in there, is he creepy? A little bit. But could be nice. Played very well there.
Yep, Skarsgård is good. I've seen him in a few things.
Right, and he's actually going to be the Crow in the reboot of The Crow.
Very good cast.
So she's stuck. She doesn't know what to do. He's trying to be nice, but again,
trying
Is
to
he
be
trying
nice.
to be creepy or nice?
He's trying to be nice without being creepy, which still comes across as
We all know
kinda
it's a horror
creepy,
movie, so
but at what point?
right, we're all like waiting for it and waiting for it. When is he going to turn into a nut job, serial killer, crazy man, pulling out hatchets, pulling out machetes? He never does, never quite does there at the beginning of the movie. Then it takes this bizarre,
Wild, weird twist.
and then it time jumps, or, well, it doesn't time jump at that point. It jumps over to the West Coast.
And you're thinking, what the frick is going on? Because they leave you hanging at one point to go to this other storyline.
That's seemingly, for the first couple minutes, unrelated.
What?
100, and I thought, okay, so is this an anthology? Was that like the ending of part one, and now we go to a different story, like a Stephen King creep show, Cat's Eye
type deal?
Right.
No, it eventually loops and ties into the original storyline.
Then we get the time jump.
Then you get the funky time jump.
To explain why we're at the point in present day that we're at.
Yeah, and then it comes back to finish out. Love the premise of it. Did not fully like the execution. The whole jumping around ruined the entire flow of the movie.
And again, I want to tread carefully here because, again, it's a fairly recent movie.
Yeah, we don't want to do the spoiler.
So we can't get into detail on this outside of what we've done so far. I think we've done a pretty good job.
Yeah.
I agree with Dave with
Great
where he's gone so far.
Slow pacing, poorly executed, bad acting by a few people. Justin Long is overrated.
Yeah, I'm not a big Justin Long fan either.
His performance really did nothing for the movie.
Yeah, I can't go into more detail than that because I could spoil some things.
And his story, really, did they have to go that route?
Yeah, I agree with you on that too. I will say this. I will dispute you on one part of that. Your criticism. I didn't think the pacing was bad.
It was more with his part.
I still didn't think the pacing was bad. I was never bogged down by the pacing. I thought in the end it ended up being a generic meh.
Maybe it was the
horror
acting that killed off the pacing for me because it was just.
Other than that, I pretty much agree with your evaluation. It's ambitious. I give them credit for trying something different to a point.
I give the premise a solid 3, but the way they brought it about and everything else brought it down.
Yeah, and there are moments in there where they cross the line, to me at least, where it goes from being creepy to being kind of disgusting. Maybe that's just me, but there are certain things that I don't need to see. And there are a couple moments that I was like, I don't need to see that.
You can allude. We don't need to go there.
So yeah, again, it starts off with a wonderful twist. Completely had me fooled. I was like, damn. I give them a ton of credit, the filmmakers, the director, the producers, for coming up with this. But then after that,
let's face it, that first 40, 45 minutes had you thinking, oh my God. And
we're going down one path and we end up going completely down another.
and then they slam on the brakes to take you to the other storyline. I'm like,
So I can't give it more than 2. I go 2 frenzies for Barbarian.
The acting in that part of it brought it down to 1.5 for me.
Ooh, okay. You're a little bit more harsh than me on this. But yeah, either way, we can't recommend it.
No.
Even a 2 from me is not a recommendation. But again, I give it 2 because I do applaud the ingenuity and the creativity, like you said, in that first 45 minutes.
That first 45 minutes, I thought, oh my God, this is a 3. But then after that, everything else, negative, it just brought it down that I cannot recommend this one.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree with all of that. I just think I maybe liked the creativity and ingenuity a little bit more than you to give it a little bit higher rating. But again, neither one of us are really recommending Barbarian.
No.
I'm just giving it a little bit less harsh of a
I will recommend watching the first part of it. And then when it cuts to the West Coast and Justin Long...
People aren't going to do that. They're not going to do that.
That's all I can recommend for it.
You do that when it comes to, like, nudity in a movie. Watch for the first 40 minutes until you see Naomi Watts' boobs and then shut the movie off.
After you pause for a minute.
Yeah. Bookmark. All right, kids. Moving on. I have a feeling this is going to be one of those weeks where Dave and I just are not simpatico on a lot of our stuff because obviously, if you listen to the first segment, we were very different on our review of Bush. A little bit different on Barbarian, but still close. Going to be interested to see what Dave thinks of See How They Run. Was in the theaters recently, limited release. Sam Rockwell, Saoirse Ronan.
Yep. 1950s London. The
theater is showing The Mousetrap.
Yep, Agatha Christie's big theatrical play.
Starring Richard Attenborough. Dickie.
Dickie. Yeah. God. Oh, now, this is a mildly entertaining mystery comedy.
Now, normally this would be the genre that you and I would normally gravitate towards.
This is usually our wheelhouse.
Yeah, a murder mystery, old school, Agatha Christie.
Throw some
Hitchcock.
Comedy.
Yep, give us a detective, maybe a sidekick.
Semi-bumbling. It had the hallmarks to have been very solid. It almost tried too hard, being a combination of Murder by Death, which was a brilliant farce of that genre with Peter Sellers and David Niven and Truman Capote. And then you had the airplane moments. Constable, commissioner, detective, or inspector. It tried too hard in a lot of places to harken back to those classics, which is why it was mildly entertaining.
I was disappointed. I was really disappointed. I was looking forward to seeing this. Sam Rockwell usually... one of my go-to actors when he's in something.
They underutilized him.
I think the writing let the cast down in that your main 2 characters, Sam Rockwell and Saoirse Ronan as the up-and-coming young female police officer who gets assigned to the case with Rockwell.
Yeah.
They don't give Rockwell anything to do in the entire movie.
No, his talent is completely wasted in this one.
And for
And they
her,
failed to build that rapport between the two. I mean, it almost
there's no
got
chemistry.
no.
They make it a completely, and I'm not saying you have to make it romantic, but
No,
there is just nothing between the two.
no, there's no banter. It doesn't work the way it's written.
And they make her, again, I blame the writers, not the actress, but they make Ronan's character so irritating for the most part,
Yeah.
especially in the first half, that I was just like, God, I would have thrown her out of the police car.
Yeah. And then Rockwell's character, they don't do a lot of development with.
Right. You get very, very little hints of him having a personality. We get a shot here of what he does in his spare time.
Yeah, that's it. And then they make him out to be an alcoholic.
Right.
Very disappointing.
Right. And same thing with Ronan's character. You get a little bit of glimpse at the home life. Kind of interested to see why she's in the situation
but
she's
it's just
in.
a quick little blip.
It's like they blame the war. Blame the war. It's
and then you make
it.
Attenborough look like a complete doofus. Which, really, come on.
Yeah.
And then Agatha Christie comes off as this psychotic recluse.
Yep.
I mean, they tried too hard to make it a murder by death, a mousetrap.
It just failed miserably, to me at least.
Death trap
in everything
whatever.
it tried to do. I think you hit
the
nail on the
mousetrap
head.
was the play, wasn't
the play within the movie.
But I'm thinking the death trap.
Oh, Christopher
Reeve and Michael Caine.
Yeah.
So.
No, I just think you hit the nail on the head early on when you said they tried too hard to be too much, and I think they failed on every level.
They failed.
I think they failed on every level. I can only give this 1.5 frenzies.
I give it a week 2. So we're
close.
We're close.
I thought you were a little
too.
more enthused about it than I was, but
not that much. No.
Yeah. Again, I wouldn't say it was a waste of time. It's not a long movie.
It had a couple of moments, but they were so few and far between.
Right.
It was ultimately just disappointing.
And we're going to see a lot more of this because, of course, Hollywood just builds on successes and carbon copies them. So now, with a few years ago, of course, we had the Murder on the Orient Express remake that was big, and then we had Knives Out.
Death on the Nile.
We're going to see these movies coming, couple, 2, 3 a year like this.
Now, coming up, we're definitely going to do The Glass Onion.
Right. At the end of the year, we'll have The Glass Onion. And then next year, supposedly, we're getting a third Kenneth Branagh as Hercule Poirot movie.
Yep.
So, and again, like I said, Dave and I are all in on those type of movies.
These. We love.
Now, usually he and I like them a little bit more modern, contemporary, a little bit more action, like a Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
But we also
or The Nice Guys. Which, I forgot. Dave has never watched The Nice Guys.
It's on the list down the line. I do like the classics if they can be brought to life and done correctly.
Yep. Again, I was just disappointed. Really,
the premise.
I didn't expect much from Barbarian. I expected more from this, and I actually will give Barbarian a higher rating just because the twist, the initial mind fuck, if you will, that they put you through, makes that one more of a recommendation to me than just this generic, like you said, it wants to be murdered by death. We're meta. Look at us, murder mystery play within a murder mystery movie. Aren't we brilliant? Aren't we smart?
It's been done before.
Yeah, you're not that smart.
Gee, aren't we getting in The Glass Onion a murder taking place during a murder mystery weekend? Gee, isn't that the whole premise of Murder by Death back in the day?
Next week, I will review, Dave will attempt to review, again, another movie recently in the theaters. Mixed reviews. Olivia Wilde's directorial debut, starring
the cause of her divorce
from Ted Lasso, Jason
Yep.
Sudeikis, starring Harry Styles and the always easy on the eyes Florence Pugh. Don't Worry, Darling. So you'll at least have one full review from me on that, maybe from Dave.
Maybe
depending
He's not
if
fully
I can
get through with it. I was looking at it this past week, contemplating, do I want to subject myself to something with Harry Styles?
At least it's not My Policeman. Oh my God. Yeah, that sounds like that's the one that just with him in it that just started up, debuted on Amazon Prime. Love Triangle. Guess who the third member is?
Great.
Yeah, exactly. Because it is modern day Hollywood. So you know what that means.
Yay.
All right, movie news. I promised a possible, maybe sort of third review. Technically not a theatrical release. Yes, it is tied into wrestling. Bear with me. In production right now, a movie starring Zac Efron. And if you haven't seen the pictures of what he looks like right now, as he's buffed up to play one of the Von Erichs in the wrestling biopic, The Iron Claw. Holy crap.
The dude has done nothing but work out and not eat any fat at all.
Unbelievable. You will not believe what he looks like right now.
I hate to think about what his life has been like to try and make that transformation. That cannot have been easy to do.
And of course, news just came out here within the last day or two that one of my favorite pro wrestlers, one of our early Sports Frenzy promos, was patterned after his catchphrase. Maxwell Jacob Friedman will be appearing in the Iron Claw. Of course, I'm better than you, and you know it. My man MJF, the greatest heel I have seen in ages in wrestling. But this got in my head, this whole thing with the Iron Claw, and then I happened to stumble upon over the weekend the triumph and tragedy of WCCW, not WCW,
WCC.
World Class Championship Wrestling, based out of Texas.
God.
This is the story of the Von Erichs.
Yeah.
Real story with real life footage.
Yeah, this is when wrestling was truly regional.
Yes. This was based in Texas. The Von Erichs were gods. And this is the early 80s. If you're not familiar with the Von Erich family, wrestling royalty, Fritz Von Erich, the father, the matriarch, or the patriarch. Four sons or five? I'm trying to remember. Maybe five. 5 sons all went into wrestling, except for the youngest. And the triumph and tragedy of WCCW, it is available for streaming on Peacock. I should mention that.
Where all wrestling can be viewed.
Nothing wrong with that. Follows this wrestling federation from its heyday until its ultimate demise. But the real story, the sad, tragic stories of the Von Erich children, the brothers, is just gut-wrenching. I mean, gut-wrenching. You have got suicides, drug abuse, tragic accidents, where only one of the brothers is left.
Oof.
And he is interviewed throughout the whole movie. And I can't imagine what it was like for him.
To recount everything.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's who Zac Efron will be playing in The Iron Claw, is Kevin Von Erich, the one surviving brother out of all of this. I mean, you had one of the brothers get in a motorcycle accident, lose his foot, and then come back and wrestle and win championships, even going to WWE and winning a title for Vince McMahon, and then eventually succumbing to drug abuse and suicide. It is an
absolutely crazy.
There were people that thought the Von Erichs were cursed because of all of the terrible, awful, nasty things that happened to those kids. And we're not talking about abuse. We're not talking about
Crossroads deal.
I'm telling you, if you watch the movie, that's what it feels like. It almost feels like the father made one of those crossroads deals, said let them achieve a certain level and then take them. It's a ridiculously, I'm not going to give it a formal review, like I said, but it is, if you tolerate wrestling, but you want to see the story of a family ripped apart by tragedy, but again, like Dave said, in a very odd, cursed type of way, check out The Triumph and Tragedy of WCCW. Then finally, some good news for those John Wick fans among us. That would be Dave and I.
The entire Sports Frenzy crew.
And hopefully some of you out there. We all know the Continental is coming next year to Peacock, the series about the hotel, the sanctuary for the assassins in the John Wick universe. But I don't know how much we've really talked about Ballerina. Ballerina, of course, a spinoff from a storyline in part of John Wick 3.
Yep.
This will star Ana de Armas.
She's pretty.
Of course, Dave talked about her last week in all her glory and grandeur in Blonde. She will be starring in Ballerina. News has come out this week.
Ian McShane and Keanu Reeves are rumored to have cameos in the movie.
Gives it a little more cachet.
Yep.
Gives it a little more juice.
It says, yes, take this seriously. It is truly a part of the Wick universe.
Yep. So now I am a little bit more excited about this, even though part of me was a little excited about Ana de Armas to begin with. A little part of me. Hey now. That's called self-deprecating humor, kids.
You know, you got to get a little excited about something in life.
All right, that'll do it for segment 2. TV and streaming news coming up in our third and final segment, along with some stupid celebrities who cannot stay off our Red Forman Dumb Asses of the Week list. Moments of silence. Stay tuned, won't you?
We'll be back.
When your day of dealing with international intrigue is over and you've settled down in your Aston Martin, call up Sports Frenzy 2.0 on your phone or smart car stereo. Every Thursday, Kev Dave will take your mind off the megalomaniac who just had a laser pointed at your genitals with the best sports criticism around. And don't forget to listen to the Weekend Edition every Saturday so you can plan out your entertainment options with the femme fatale of your choice. Grab a martini, shaken, not stirred, and check out Frenzy, Sports Frenzy 2.0.
All right, kids, third and final segment here on the Weekend Edition, Sports Frenzy 2.0, taping here on November the 9th, 2022. This will hit Saturday morning November the 12th. I am the maestro, Kevin Crane.
I'm the conquistador, Dave Height.
Segment 3, TV and streaming.
The Titans are back, baby.
Season 4 of Titans has hit on HBO Max. As we tape this, the first 2 episodes are available. More new episodes became available in a time jump.
Yes, because we record on Wednesday. This drops on Saturday, so we have more in between.
But Dave and I are here to talk about the first 2. This is one of those shows that we definitely keep up on week by week. So we will give you updates right up until the time Doom Patrol Season 4 starts up.
Yes.
And then we'll do the same damn thing for them freaks.
That's one way to put it.
But Titans, of course, for those of you who somehow don't know what this phenomenal show is about, it is basically a more mature, more intense, more violent take on the Teen Titans.
Yes.
With Nightwing, we've got Raven, we've got Beast Boy, we've got Superboy. So very, very well done. Every season so far to this point has been fantastic. We've had a season focus on the Red Hood, a season focus on Deathstroke. Now, season 4 starts off with what looks like a Lex Luthor driven plot.
We could, but wait. Now, episode 2, Mother Mayhem makes her appearance. So we're kind of all over the board right now.
Right. Basically, the one thread that is binding all of these super baddies, because I believe we've got a third one waiting in the wings, who has been alluded to over the first 2 episodes, but has not been named yet.
Not quite.
Lex Luthor, in his bid to become an immortal, or at least to stave off death, has made some kind of a deal with the devil, or at least a very bizarre cult.
Yeah, more of the dark art cult, not necessarily the devil.
Right.
But Mother Mayhem seems to be the lead of the cult.
And Lex Luthor looks to have paid a very heavy price, as you will find out at the end of episode 1.
Yep, as he tries to connect with his created son, Superboy.
Meanwhile, Raven, Beast Boy are being affected by something and are having hallucinations and
hearing voices. Things are going off the rails a little bit for them.
Yep. So definitely still enjoying Titans just as much as the previous 3 seasons. It's just well done. I think I'm going to say Brenton Thwaites was the perfect casting as Dick Grayson.
Oh, hands down.
He is phenomenal. I mean, he is better than anybody I've ever seen play, I'll say Robin.
Right.
Because he was Robin, technically, before he became Nightwing. And, of course, now he's taken Tim Drake, technically the 3rd Robin, under his wing.
Dark. Nightwing. Anyway.
But
no, he does a phenomenal job leading the team, coming to grips with what he's gone through to where he's at, helping everybody along the way. You've seen his growth through the series. Very well done.
Yep. And Dave and I have said this in the past on the weekend edition. It still holds true, even though they've had a few more missteps as of late, especially before the reorganization and the budget cuts and the CW implosion here recently. But DC does a much better job with the TV shows and the scripted series than they do with the movies.
Yeah.
And it's always vice versa
with Marvel.
And you guys heard me last week complain and rail about what Disney's doing with Marvel and Disney Plus, especially.
Yeah, the rat's ruining Marvel even more so on the TV streaming front than one would normally expect.
So looking forward to at least the first half of season 4 of Titans. Of course, we've talked about this recently where they're taking this stupid strategy with both Titan season 4 and Doom Patrol season 4, where they're going to split the seasons up.
Go so many episodes, then we're going to take a break. 4 months, 6 months, 8 months, and then we'll come back. No, just put the frickin' season out there. Cut this crap out. That's what killed The Walking Dead. That's what probably is almost the death knell for Resident Alien. Doing this stupid stuff. Just run it through. Stop the stupidity.
I would almost prefer them to just say, then we're just going to do 2 short seasons. We're going to do season 4 of Titans is only going to be 6 episodes. Season 5 of Titans coming next year is 6 episodes. Then them to say, no.
We're going to split
it's the same
it.
season, but we're just going to make you sit around and wait for the second part of it. And Resident Alien,
hate that crap.
Resident Alien was a perfect comparison point. I hated waiting so long for them to wrap up.
There was no reason
season
for it.
2 of that.
There was absolutely no reason to do that.
In other TV and streaming news, they have released the title, Stranger Things Season 5, Chapter 1. The Duffer Brothers have wrote it, and they showed everybody the first page of the script.
Whoop-de-frickin-do.
Well, okay, Dave doesn't care, but I'll tell everybody else. Chapter 1 of Season 5 will be called The Crawl.
Pull your heads out of your asses and get the damn thing done.
On a side note involving Stranger Things, Millie Bobby Brown, of course, she's 18, isn't she?
Yeah.
Can I say she's hot? Even when she doesn't have her buzzed haircut and her taped down boobs. She was on a talk show recently. Said she wants to do biopic for Britney Spears.
Really?
I could see that in a second. Put her in one of those schoolgirl outfits. Ooh, doggy! Britney Spears comes back after she hears this and goes, dude, I'm not dead yet.
Yet.
Well, the thing is, anymore, it doesn't matter. They're doing a biopic about Snoop Dogg, I heard.
Yeah, the guy who did Menace to Society.
Steven Spielberg's got a movie coming out in a couple of weeks that he's done about his family. He ain't dead.
Who cares about Spielberg's family?
It's called pretentious Hollywood douchebaggery. Yes. I texted your son, my nephew, big fan of Westworld. HBO, again, must be this cost-cutting stuff. Cancels Westworld after 4 seasons. But just like the weird economics with Batgirl, the movie, $90 million invested, sitting on a shelf, they won't release it anywhere. They cancel Westworld after season 4, yet word is out there that the main members of the cast are getting paid for season 5, even though it's not going to be made.
If you're paying them off, put the rest of the fucking money to it and finish it. That's a bigger waste paying them not to do something.
They must be thinking, well, let's pay off the actors.
Oh my God.
But we'll save production costs, is all I can think. That's all I can think. Again, the economics of Hollywood boggle my mind. They're
The
almost as bad
stupidity.
as the economics in sports.
Or the economics in government, for that matter.
All right. Couple series coming, one to Peacock, one to Netflix, based on movies that I actually kind of liked. One old, one newer. Did you ever see The Gentleman? Guy Ritchie's The Gentleman?
Probably.
It was out. It was actually out during the pandemic, I believe. Starred Charlie Hunnam and Matthew McConaughey.
No, I did not see it.
Gotta watch that, dude. Great, great movie. They are doing a series based on that movie coming to Netflix.
Because they don't have an original idea.
I'll be interested to see where they go with the series. I don't know. It doesn't seem like the type of movie that they could
Do that.
based on the events of the movie. We'll see. Classic movie. Day of the Jackal.
Done a couple of times.
Of course, more modern version done with Richard Gere and Bruce Willis.
Yep.
Peacock is commissioning a modern take.
As a series.
Yep.
It's not series worthy.
If it's done right, I could see it working. But
But
again,
how many episodes are they talking?
right now, I don't know. It's just in development. It's gotten a green light to start casting, write a script, get it into production.
God. It's going to be poorly done.
Netflix has just launched their ad tier payment option. For less money, you can sign up for Netflix as long as you'll put up with some ads. I believe $7.99 a month. Might actually only be $6.99, but it's in that range. But here's the catch. Here's the catch.
There's always a catch, kids.
Some of their more popular shows are not included.
Oh, now that's just wrong.
Let me tell you this. Don't sign up for the ad tier because you will be gravely disappointed. Peaky Blinders, not included. House of Cards, not included. Arrested Development wouldn't break my heart, but that's not included either.
Who cares about Arrested Development? That's overrated crap.
This is where we're going to see if this works for Netflix, because for them to have stuff that's excluded from this,
that's going to be a detriment to them on it.
Yeah.
There's no incentive.
And they're not saying for sure future things will not be excluded, like the Glass Onion. Who knows?
You may have to wait an extra 6 months to a year.
If I sign up for this and I don't get Glass Onion at the end of the year, I am going to be one pissed off maestro. I'll tell you that. Because that's the main reason I'm going to sign back up in December, is so I can see the Glass Onion. Then finally, I mentioned we're going back to wrestling.
Yep, we knew it was coming.
I'm not going to go crazy about Crown Jewel. I'm not going to recap everything, but you alluded to it earlier.
I did, because I knew the main storyline.
The big match, of course, Roman Reigns versus internet hotshot Logan Paul in only his third wrestling match ever. I had to watch this twice. Why? Why, Kev? Did you subject yourself to the match twice?
Gee,
because
could it be Logan Paul's knee?
I watched it the first time, didn't see anything unusual. Word comes out later in the day, because this aired early afternoon here in America. So this was on from on Saturday from 12 noon till 2:30. Maybe 3:30. Might have been a longer pay-per-view. Word came out that night on ESPN's main page that during the match, Logan Paul had torn his MCL and his meniscus.
Yep.
And I'm like, I didn't see anything. I got to go watch this again. Watch the main event a second time. Still have no idea. What? I can't believe you could tear your MCL and your meniscus and still walk around like he was. Because he said it happened somewhere in the middle of the match. I seriously, Dave,
Interesting.
watching it twice, cannot tell where he did all this damage. Just saying.
Are they setting up for a miracle short-term comeback?
No, I already know what's going to happen. Anybody with half a brain knows Roman Reigns is going to keep the title until probably WrestleMania coming up early 2023. Cody Rhodes is going to recover from his torn pectoral. And I guarantee he was told when he signed on, because they had to give him a boat ton of money to come over from AEW, that he's going to get the title. He will be the guy to break Roman Reigns' streak as one of the 5 longest reigning heavyweight champions of all time. I already know that's coming. So
it's inevitable.
Yeah. Let's put it this way. If it doesn't happen, I would be shocked. All right, kids. Time to move on to moments of silence, as we always do here at this point in segment 3. All music. I've got 3 in music this week. Of course, first off, I have trouble with these moments of silence when we're talking about people who were obviously abusing drugs, had personal issues, personal demons, went over the edge, obviously either didn't accept help, didn't want help, didn't ask for help. And then we get into the whole face tattoo thing. Everybody wonders why. Oh, you're judgmental. No,
Well,
because
there's
more
a
times
reason.
than not.
It's a cry for help.
So, of course, Aaron Carter we're talking about, linked to the boy bands of the past. I believe his brother was in Backstreet Boys,
Yep.
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he had his own solo.
Right.
As a youngster. Too much fame too quickly.
Yeah, we've heard that before. And again, nobody there to help. Everybody just wants their piece.
Or those who were trying to help him, he didn't want it.
Aaron Carter, unfortunately, gone too soon. Move on to 2 that lived a full life. Dan McCafferty.
Lead singer, original lead singer for Nazareth. Big vocals on Love Hurts, has passed away.
And then one of the few country bands that I actually liked, old school country, founding member of Alabama, Jeff Cook, passed away recently.
Oof.
Yep. Play me some mountain music.
Yep. And then Gary Roberts, guitarist for Boomtown Rats, has passed away.
Of course, that was Bob Geldof's band.
Yep.
So there you go, kids. Lots of moments of silence in the world of music this week. Dave, what do we do after we're done with this?
Pivot to our dumbasses.
And of course, we know it was just Election Day here a few days ago. We talked about this a little bit in the Dumbasses in the regular Sports Friendly episode that posted a few days back. I have a feeling that somehow Hollywood will be even worse than the professional athletes of the world when it comes to making dumbasses of themselves as they mix again into the world of politics.
Just shut up and entertain us.
Here's what I want you guys to pay attention to as we go through these dumbasses. I want you to listen to the language. All of my dumbasses this week have quotes. Listen to how condescending these quotes, these slogans are, and how they assume they're brilliant, you're dumb. And guess who I'm first going after? My target from last week, Marvel. The idiotic Marvel actors who are left-wing progressive nut jobs, Mark Ruffalo, Chris Evans. They decided to start an online campaign here over the last couple of weeks to help Wisconsin Democrats get elected.
What the hell do they have to do with Wisconsin?
Which again,
do they like cheese?
Something we talked about again in our regular Sports Frenzy episode earlier this week with LeBron James and Georgia. What the hell's LeBron James got to do with Georgia and the Senate race in Georgia?
Stay in your damn lane, stay in your damn state.
But here is what really makes this a dumbass move. Do you know what they called their little online soiree, their online campaign? Direct quote, "The Marvel cast unites to save democracy."
Oh, for the love of God and all that's holy.
There's example number one of what I'm saying. Pretentious. They're telling you, you vote for who we tell you to.
And that's democracy?
You don't save democracy otherwise.
That makes no sense
progressives
whatsoever.
are such hypocrites. We've heard this out of our president, the rhetoric from him, saying if you vote Republican, you're voting against democracy. Who are these people to say that? Dave just said it. You put out statements like that. You're saying you're not in favor of democracy. You want one-party rule.
Because you're frickin' egomaniacal morons. You're part of the problem that there cannot be civil discourse.
Oh, wait. A usual suspect has popped up again. Front row on the Sports Frenzy Plane of Doom. His seat is still there, still warm, waiting for him. Mr. Jimmy Kimmel. Now, he gets a double shot of being a dumbass this week. Number one, not for politics, but because ABC, when we're dealing with plummeting ratings for the Academy Awards year after year after year, people keep saying, we don't want politics in the Academy Awards, in the Oscar telecast. So who do they decide to bring in to host the Oscars for a third time?
Mr. Political Asshat.
Jimmy Kimmel is your host for the next Oscars telecast.
One of the least funniest people on TV.
Now, the politics, again, going back to language. Jimmy Kimmel sticks his nose into the Nevada race and does an advertisement where, again, this is your quote, Nevada needs a sane person in the Senate. Basically, in a backhanded way, saying the Republican candidate is insane. But since he's endorsing the Democratic candidate, that's the sane one.
It's insane that anybody would listen to these people. Make up your own minds. Look at what's going on everywhere. Do not vote for a party. That is the stupidest thing you could possibly do. Look at each individual candidate and what they are actually standing for.
And of course, I've decided that.
And if you're smart, you'll look at any of the independents out there and get away from the stupid ass party politics.
Yeah, and after what happened in Pennsylvania this past week, I'm convinced that is the most fucked up state in the union.
God.
With what happened with the presidential election and how they found 200,000 votes overnight, all for Joe Biden. And now they are stupid enough to elect Fetterman,
who has no idea what's going on.
You're going to be represented by a guy who wears a hoodie around all the time. Can't even dress like a professional.
Someone who's just coming off a stroke, who couldn't even answer a basic questions in a debate.
All right, moving on. We've got another person who's already got their plane ticket punched, their seat waiting for them on the plane of doom. That would be one Kathy Griffin. Kathy Griffin, of course, is one of these celebrities who is mad because Elon Musk took over Twitter. So she got banned from Twitter because she changed her screen name to Elon Musk. And of course, that violates the Twitter rules.
You cannot
impersonate somebody else.
Somebody else's account. Duh. Identity theft and everything else.
So then Kathy Griffin decides she's going to be oh so clever and reactivates her dead mother's account so she can keep posting idiotic bullshit. Now, here's the thing I like. Elon Musk, somebody complained and said, why did you ban Kathy Griffin for impersonating somebody? She's not impersonating her dead mother. Her dead mother is dead. She just took over her account. Elon Musk came back and said, I'm not banning her for that. I'm banning her. I'm banning her for impersonating a comedian. And Kathy Griffin gets all mad and goes, you stole that joke. You stole that joke. You know.
And like you haven't stolen anything in your life, you stupid twit.
Getting all indignant. And then Elon Musk comes back and says, that's fine. Give me your $8. I tell you, I like him. I do like Elon Musk. I hate Kathy Griffin, though.
Never liked her.
Finally, wrapping things up.
Ever.
Responsible, by the way, for one of the worst episodes, one of the few bad episodes of Seinfeld ever. Kathy Griffin.
Yep.
And that stupid barbecue sauce crap.
That was dumb as hell.
Finally, I talked to Dave about this last week. I finally get to use my word that I've been waiting to use forever. You've heard of misogyny. Everybody knows misogyny. Hatred of women. I am starting to use the word misandrist. What is that, Kev? Hatred of men. Example number 1, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Induction ceremony, supposed to be performing. Alanis Morissette pulls out at the last minute from the performance she was supposed to do, honoring Carly Simon. Why? In a long, long social media rant. Again, listen to the words. This is an industry that is rife with an overarching anti-woman sentiment. She is a misandrist. She hates men. You listen to her music. She's bitter. She always has been. She always will be. And she's a dumbass.
And that will wrap up the weekend edition of Sports Frenzy 2.0.
He's Dave.
He's Kev.
Take care, kids. We will talk to you next weekend.